Welcome to another match preview here on Stones TV, the Maidstone United podcast, where we look ahead to our latest league home game against visitors relegation-threatened Salisbury. So a couple of games in the last week. Stones defence porous in keeping with the weather and poor us for being there. Dorking home and dry after half-time subs had a brief impact. Bramble's scant consolation came too late after he hit the post earlier on. 3-1, a fair reflection of the gap on the day. Then to Enfield away in midweek, and another response needed, another response not given. And we lost 3 points from a leading position for the first time this season, and for the first time in exactly 10 months when Worthing turned it around here back in January. 4 points last season from these two away days, 0 points this season. So Nigel, your thoughts on a very testing last week?
Yeah, it's been very testing, hasn't it? It's just that Jekyll and Hyde where we are at the moment, isn't it? You know, it's we just didn't turn up at Dorking, did we? You know, like you say, it was scant consolation, and I think TJ Bramble did make an effect when he came on. You know, I mean, just got off the plane back from international duty. You know, he put in a performance there, and then on Tuesday evening, the game at Enfield. I mean, it was again a Jekyll and Hyde performance, wasn't it? You know, the first half, you know. Yeah, okay. You know, we had our chances. Enfield had their chances, and we had a couple of good bits of defending. But then the second half, again, it's just like that night and day performance, isn't it? Yeah. You know, it's just you just can't fathom out what it is, and it's just so frustrating as a fan base, isn't it? Because you can't put your finger on it. I mean, the first half against Enfield on Tuesday night, Nathan Harness comes out, makes that save from Lamar Reynolds, and you know, obviously he got the ball around him, but he put the shot wide. But you know, it was a good bit of keeping. And again, he's at the first half to set up the goal for Dion Moore. It was his kick out, that quick kick out, that you know, that passage of play that set that goal up there. But then again, in the two goals that we conceded, you know, should he be doing better? Yeah, he should be doing better. But it's just, throughout the team, you know, defensively, you know, you've got to be picking up on those balls. You know, Harness isn't going to keep it. He's not a league keeper. Do you know what I mean? He's at this level for a reason. It's for those inconsistencies, and that's where we are as a collective at the moment. You know, you look at Hamzid, Carpo. You know, that performance he had against Chippenham at the beginning of the month. You know, really good performance, really good foreplay. Got a goal, got an assist. You know, you've got to do that consistently. You've got to put those two the performances together, haven't you?
And as you say, it's everybody throughout the squad, even within games, seem to have contrasting moments of brilliance and, you know, inability, frankly, at times.
Yeah, I mean,
it is frustrating to watch.
Exactly that, and you know, as the management team as well, you know, it's like, and George even alluded to it in his interview on Enfield. You know, it's great. You know, we all take the plaudits. We all have that feel-good factor, that drug when we win games and we go on those long runs, and it's great. But this is now when, you know, when the times are tough. That's when everybody's got to step up. Everybody's got to up their game. You know, I know it's difficult. It is so difficult. You know, supporting a team when you don't know what team's going to turn up.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, it's obvious, especially coming up to Christmas. You know, times are tough for everybody, you know, so yeah, it's just natural, and we've said it before, football fans are fickle, and that's just the way it is. That's just, you know, it's just life and where we are. But you know, everybody's got to sort of like ask questions of themselves, haven't they? From the owners, from everybody. You know, it's like, are we doing the best? Are we actually getting the best out of this? What we can do? You know, mistakes are going to be happening again. This is the level we're at. It's just frustrating, and it's so frustrating.
And as George said last night, or on Tuesday rather, you can tell when we've recorded this, still a bit sore. You know, it's a case of forgetting Enfield and getting on with the next game, frankly, isn't it?
Of course it is. You know, you always got that chance to put that right. But, you know, I said that in the hot take against Dorking. You know, in some ways that would be the ideal to go away from home, you know, against a side that's in the bottom four and put in that performance. And, you know, for 45 minutes, it looked like we was doing that. You know, proper away performance, got a goal on the break, but you know, we weren't outplayed, you know, and that's when you want to kick on, isn't it? You want to kick on in the second half and get an early goal in the second half, put the game to bed, and then you can make your substitutions and try and protect your players. But at the moment, you know, we haven't got that X factor, that sort of like,
it's that killer moment, isn't it?
In both ends of the pitch. We haven't got somebody that's going to, maybe TJ Bramble aside, I think he's been good, and Riley Court as well. What George said after Dorking, you know, they seem to be sort of playing for the badge, getting stuck in, getting your sleeves rolled up, and apart from that, it's samey, isn't it? It's like that, you look on the bench sometimes, you think, well, where's the change going to happen? Where's it going to come from? Where's that, something that's going to come on and change a game? And it's just, you can coach, you can put as much money, into the budget as you want to, but it sometimes it comes from in there, doesn't it? It's where you want to be, whether you're playing for the badge or whether you're playing for money or whatever your motivation is, but it's got to come from within, and everybody's got to sort of soul search and sort of find that sort of passion, because like we've said, this football game is like a drug, isn't it? When we're winning, we're all on a high, but the reality of that is you want it. Once you get a taste of it, you want to keep wanting it, doesn't it? Sometimes it's just maybe about just lowering those expectations a little bit, and taking a look around and thinking, right, okay, this is where we are. What do we need to do to go forward? And hopefully we find the answers.
Well, exactly. It's hoping we don't have another Groundhog Day thinking, a side that's quite close to the bottom should be an easy win. And that brings us on to Salisbury. So to the Whites goalkeeping department, and Rhys Byrne returned to Leyton Orient in the summer and has since signed for Hornchurch. Will Buse signed for the 25-26 season. He has toured the southwest with Bristol City, Dorchester Town, Yeovil Town, Bath City, our next couple of opponents actually, Weston-super-Mare and Weymouth among his former clubs. He has played every game so far in the league and has 6 clean sheets to date. Former Reading Academy keeper James Charlotte signed. He spent time on loan at Thatcham Town last season, and Lewis Gunston-Gray signed on dual registration with Laverstock and Ford FC. So Nigel, Will Buse is their number one. He played against us 3 times last season, as it happens, and he kept 2 clean sheets. So he and we, the Stones, know each other quite well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good keeper for this level, isn't he? And like you say, he played against him like 3 times last season. He's played for Yeovil against us as well in the past, and Weston, and yeah, he is what it is. He is, like you say, he's got a good healthy number of clean sheets, but they are a team that's struggling down the bottom of the table, aren't they? So collectively, they've just not been good enough. There's individual performances there, but it's just about that consistency, and that is the key to this league. That's consistency, isn't it? You're not going to put in 10 out of 10 performances every week, but have they signed the right players? I mean, because you look at, we go through their players, but some of the recruitment look quite good. Some of the players they were signing, you think they're going to kick on here and be pushing for the playoffs, but they just haven't seemed to have got those players for the fight. But as regards Will Buse, he's done his job, but it's as a collective, they need to sort of all muck in together, don't they?
Well, that collective in front of Will Buse then is their defence, and Tom Leggett left for Farnham Town in the summer. Sido John Barty also departed at the end of last season. Bromley defender Taylor Ferran signed on loan and played the first few matches. Not sure what happened to him after that. Harry Revell signed on a 1-month loan deal from Hull City and promptly returned to Yorkshire once it ended. Owen Dorr signed on for 25-26. He then signed for Paul Towle on a short-term deal back in September. Josh Summerton was retained and is in his 2nd season. He isn't ever present this season so far. Jordan Ngarlo signed from Dorchester Town. Dominic Ravan signed from Hampton and Richmond. Left-sided Tom Cove signed after a spell with Aylesbury. Experienced Tom Davies signed after his release from Tranmere Rovers. His only goal for the club so far helped them recover from 3-1 down at home to earn a draw against leaders Hornchurch. Hayden Muller signed on a 1-month loan from Sutton United at the start of the season, having previously played in the Championship for Millwall. His loan was then extended until mid-December before he was then recalled in mid-October by his parent club Sutton United. Defender Harry Lee signed on dual registration from Bromley until the end of the season, presumably some recompense for losing Taylor Ferran. The loan signing of 19-year-old fullback Ollie Morgan from AFC Bournemouth Youth was an initial 1-month loan and was extended through to the end of the season at the end of last month. So Nigel, a couple sticking around from last season with a lot of new faces, but it's mostly the same old troubles at the back, as you've alluded to. Your thoughts on Dutton's defenders?
Consistency is the word there, isn't it? And we've said it before. If you've got a revolving door of players coming in and coming out, that's half your trouble there, isn't it? You're trying to find the magic formula, but there's no sort of like cohesiveness there. You can't just go out and buy 2 central defenders and it's going to instantly work. And if you're swapping and changing that around week on week, then you are going to get that. You know, they're a side that signings that they've made, they didn't expect to be in the bottom four, but now they are. They're just trying to find the answers to why they're trying to concede all these goals, and they're coming off the back of shipping 6 goals against Maidenhead at home.
It was a big one last night. I did say on the hot take it could be worse.
Again, and you have to look at the weekend results with Torquay knocking 7 past Eastbourne. Do you know what I mean?
Basket case this season.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, and again, it just, as I say, that's the word, that's the key to this league. It's consistency.
Yeah.
You know, if you look across the budget, look across the teams. You know, the teams that you expect to be up there, and the likes of Ebbsfleet, Chelmsford, they're only 1 point better off than us. So it is just finding that consistency, and the teams that are consistent, the likes of Horsham and Totton and Hornchurch, they've kept a lot of their squad from last year. I know Horsham have come up, so they've got that new promotion team bounce, haven't they? They're running on that, but they're a squad that's been together for a number of seasons. They're used to winning. They're used to their patterns of play, and that's just proving the case. That's what this league is.
So into their midfield, and Lewis Brown returned to Bournemouth at the end of his loan last season and has since joined Shaftesbury via Havant and Waterlooville. Jayden Perez left in the summer, has since been at Burgess Hill, Mersham and Sevenoaks. Jordan Raggett left for Maidenhead in the summer. Ronan Silva left for Hampton and Richmond. Gabe Reevers signed after leaving Swindon Supermarine. He has since joined Didcot Town on loan. Callum Watts signed for Weymouth for an undisclosed fee. 18-year-old midfielder Harry Tustin signed on a short-term loan deal from Cheltenham Town. That was then extended by an additional month, and he has since returned to Cheltenham Town. Mike Atkinson signed from Hampton and Richmond, one of many players seemingly moving between the two sides in the last few months. He then left by mutual consent and returned to Hampton and Richmond. George Penn was on loan from Bromley for 6 weeks. He returned to his parent club in mid-October. Josh Keogh signed from Hampton and Richmond, it's them again. Josh Hedges returned after leaving Chelmsford City, and Noah Coppin signed a new contract in the summer. Keogh, Hedges and Coppin all scored in their 3-0 home win against Chelmsford on Saturday. So Nigel, a lot of familiar faces leaving and returning in either direction this summer. It's been busy, but looks mostly the same somehow.
Yeah, again, it's that revolving door, isn't it? You get players in on loan, and it's great if they come in and they bed into the culture of the club. If they're leaving after 4 weeks, 6 weeks to go back to their parent club, again, you're not getting that consistency there, are you? Yeah. I mean, we know Hedges and Coppin, and they're the ones that stand out names there. And generally when Salisbury do well, they're the ones that you see on the score sheet, aren't you? That's just the crazy stat, isn't it? They beat Chelmsford on Saturday, and then go and lose at home to Maidenhead 6-0. So again, it's just keep coming back to that word of that consistency, isn't it? These players, like Hedges and Coppin, yes, they're standout players, but they can't do it week in, week out. Because of they just can't. It's just like they're not Premier League standard players, and they're still a part-time club. So if you're only training two weekends, 2 evenings a week, how are you going to implement any sort of like structure and game plans? And it's so difficult, isn't it? Again, it's just probably be the same when we go for the forwards. In a minute, copy and paste. It's like that sort of like consistency, isn't it?
Well, let's have a look at them then, shall we? Up front, Dan Fitchett retired. Craig Fassenmaid left in the summer for Hampton and Richmond. So, copy and paste. Tommy Lee Higgs signed from Bognor Regis Town, scoring 24 goals last season. Then at the end of last month, the board terminated his contract with immediate effect. Google it, I'm sure someone will know what happened. He's since ended up at Farnborough. Young wide man Evander Grubb joined after spending last season at Briston Manor Farm. Matt Briggs signed from Dorking Wanderers. His most recent goal turned out to be the winner at Enfield Town. All right for some. Maddie Taylor signed from Cheltenham Town. He scored the opener in that Enfield Town win. Tommy Willard signed from Worthing. He scored the only goal in a win at home to Farnborough last month. And Ollie Bray signed from Aldershot for 25-26. He has been mostly used as an impact sub so far this season, as he's only made one start. So Nigel, yet more change in this department, and some quite good National League South experience replacing them there.
Yeah, I mean the Willard and Briggs, they're names that obviously Briggs is very experienced, isn't he? We know what he done at Dorking, and he's a good, not just National League South player, but National League experience as well. And Willard, he's, I know they got him from Worthing, but he's previously been at Aldershot as well, along with Bray. Again, if you're performing, if those players are performing around you, they're your sort of like, not marquee signings, but they're your X factor players, aren't they? They're the ones that are going to. But if you're conceding goals early doors, are they the right type of players that Briggs may be because he's got that experience, but the youngsters, are they going to be able to step up and get you back into a game? And at the moment, it hasn't happened this season for them. So. Again, it's a key word for this podcast, isn't it? Consistency. Consistency is the key, and it's like I say, 70% of the teams are trying to find it, and it's that magic formula that that we're all trying to look for to get those put a string of results together. And strikers, we've said it before, sometimes it's like get one, get two, and then they come like London buses. You get into a purple patch, and strikers are very much like that, but. The longer that drought goes on, and the longer that you're not getting goals, then you'll get a chance and you'll snatch at it, and you'll not make the most of it. And sometimes you need one of those to go in to get you on a run. And again, like I say, every team's looking for that magic formula, but it's just not as easy as just like saying we've got to do it. It's something that everyone's searching for.
Well, from magic formula and the players that we've just gone through to their less than magical form, see what I did there? The Whites have played 12 home matches so far this season, a win and a draw in the FA Cup, 2 draws, 5 defeats and 3 wins in the league. Their most recent home match was, of course, the aforementioned 6-0 loss to Maidenhead on Tuesday night. On the road, they lost an FA Cup replay at Dorking and were knocked out of the FA Trophy in a 7-goal thriller at Plymouth Parkway. Their league away form then, well, their first 9 games, 4 draws, 3 defeats and 2 wins, actually in their most recent encounters at Chesham and Enfield Town. Show-offs. So Nigel, a terrible start, but their form had picked up, and with 7 points from 9 on the road and only 1 league win in 5 for the Stones now, they may fancy their chances to add to that total in spite of their own Tuesday result.
Exactly, and that is what they will be looking at, isn't it? It's in some ways it's a perfect game for them to come off of the back of that, because as bad as the result was against Maidenhead, they did have those 3 points in the bag from Saturday against Chelmsford. So
it's 3 up on us then from the last
exactly.
few days,
Going back like a week ago, they'd have been looking at these 3 games and thinking, well, if we can get 4 points out of those games, we're doing all right, aren't we? Against teams that are like the big hitters in this league. So and to get 3 points in their first game, maybe that's sort of like a little bit of like, okay,
put the brakes and relax.
Yeah, exactly. Once you go 2 or 3 goals down, it's like okay, this game's gone. When just try and save our energies for Saturday. So you're going to hope as well that we're going to get a reaction. I mean, I'm sure after George's interview on Tuesday evening, he's going to be drumming that into that. We've got that benefit of that sort of them 2 sessions, haven't we, or the daytime training. So we can actually look at it and try and put something into place. But it's like all these managers, you can go through formulas, you can go through patterns of play, but once those players step over that white line, it again, it's what I said at the beginning of this podcast, it comes from here, doesn't it? It comes from here. If you want to do it, go in that extra yard, go in that extra mile, maybe going in for that, that 50-50 challenge, making it yours, as you say, like your theory as well. Get it early, get it done early, go out there, go be on the front foot, take your chances, and it makes the whole afternoon a lot more stress-free. The longer that goes on, the longer, so if it's from Salty's point of view, they're going to want to right, keep it first 20 minutes, keep a clean sheet.
Because as you say, we all know that they've had that experience very recently, and they were several behind very quickly.
Exactly. So
we know Maidstone are capable of that here, capable of that away from home as well.
Well, exactly. All the teams are capable of it. That's what you've got to sort of guard against, haven't you? You know what you're about. And we know it. We've seen the performances in the team. we are a proper mid-table team at the moment. You know, there's no sort of like, it's win one, lose one, draw one, win one, lose one. You know, there's no sort of like, you know, we'll win two, draw two.
They come in pairs, don't they? At the moment?
Yeah, exactly, and or lose two. Do you know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's where we are, and it's whether our players can actually go out there and put their performance in, play for the badge, play for the fans, and you know, and show what you're about. Because we know they've got it individually. You know, you look at the players, we know they've got it, but it's just like, you know, somebody needs to get him by the scruff of the neck and say, right, come on, we're going to do this. You know,
please. Yeah. So 4 matches in the last 15 years between the two sides. 2 FA Trophy matches back in 2010 and 2012. Both 2-0 home wins, one for each side. And the Stones did the double in the league last season. The rearranged 2-0 win at the Raymax Stadium just before Christmas last year, before the 3-2 home win back in March. Nigel, the Stones had the Whites number last season. Do you think they can keep their winning run going in this fixture?
Yeah, that's a $50 question, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Or $64 question, whatever it is. You know.
Well, with inflation and
put much on it, as much as you
bit more, yeah.
Put as much money as you like on it. You know, again, like I say, you know, we can all talk about it. We can all say what we want to happen, but it's down to those 22 players on the pitch on Saturday afternoon, isn't it? And which ones prevail. And you know, we know there's talent out there to go and get a result, but it's about putting it all together come 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Remember, if you can't make it to the game on Saturday, be sure to tune in to myself alongside Chris Petrovase from 2:40 on Stones Live. You'll see us on the hot take and then hear us on the highlights once those go online. Maidstone United's women are also finally back at the home of football to finish the month off this Sunday, so it's a first team double bill. Maidstone's women host Long Lane in the league. The Stones have won 10 of their first 11 matches in all competitions, looking to maintain that 100% league record. And the under-23s are at Hastings on Monday night. I've checked it, it's definitely a Monday night this time. 1st of December, 7:45 kickoff at the Pilot Field. They also looking to maintain a 100% league record of theirs as well. Just 3 of the games involving our sides this week. Details of those matches as well as upcoming fixtures for all Stone sides are available on the club socials and website now. Well, almost 9 months since the last meeting of these two sides, and that match in March was one of the games that a neutral would pick out from last season. End-to-end game, plenty of goals and incident. He's hoping it's more like the Stones' last home match here 3 weeks ago. Done and dusted at half-time. Pretty pleased. Our thanks to you all out there as ever for watching or listening to the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast, just search for the Maidstone United podcast. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of the next league home game where we take on Bath City. And as always,
come on you Stones, please.